Nation. The hobby is the people. Weekly news and interviews. It's your number one source. Sports Card Nation. The hobby is the people. Sports Card Nation.
This is Sports
Card Nation. Episode 84. We're back for another week. Got a great show, as we always try to have a great show, and I always say we have a great show. Probably not always right, but I think we are this week. We got a great guest, Tyson Beck from the Land Down Under, a.k.a. all the way from Australia. Tyson is a highly acclaimed designer and artist. He has worked for all four major sports, the NFL, the NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, UFC. I mean, the list goes on and on. He's done cards already prior to the Topps 2020 project, which he's on now. He's done Topps Fire. So he's no stranger to the business. He's very forthcoming. I like how he's very direct. He doesn't mince words. I want to thank him because, he's there, I believe, 13 hours ahead of us here on the East Coast in the States, and he stayed up late to do this interview, and I appreciate that. We did this interview in a different sort of way, under a different format, different media, so it will sound a little different. There may be different levels going in and out, but definitely can understand what he's saying and hear him, and that's the main thing. But just wanted to give you sort of a kind of heads up on the sound quality. Might be different than what you've traditionally heard on the show, but you can hear him, and great for having him on. And he's going to talk about, he's very forthcoming. He had some, his hours led to some medical issues, which he's got a grasp on, and guy's got a work ethic probably unmatched by most, and we're going to talk a little bit about that as amongst other things. So happy to have Tyson on the show this week, and continuing in our coverage of the Topps 2020 project. And again, whether you're active in the project, like the project, don't like the project, you can't argue that it's been a major force in the hobby. And I've enjoyed it, and I've enjoyed having a lot of these artists on. Mike Summer from his podcast has linked the our podcast here at Sports Card Nation to his page. He's got the most in-depth Topps 2020 coverage, as far as I'm concerned, with charts and graphs and print run numbers and pictures of all the cards. And if you need to, I think it's waxpackhero.com. If you need to know anything numbers-wise and analytics-wise, he's got all the bases covered. So check that out. And he's very nice to link the audio to the podcast that the 2020 project artists appear on. And we're friends. One hand washes the other. And I'm glad he's doing what he's doing, and glad he's we're sharing some of that. Helping each other out, so to speak. So check that page out. And if you're checking this page out and you missed an episode with one of the 2020 artists, link right from there, and come back and listen to the show. So we're going to talk about, we're going to announce our giveaway winner for the weekly $25 break credit from 101 Card Shop and Steve Chata. I appreciate him sponsoring the show and doing that each and every week. Each and every week, someone's going to win $25 break credit to 101 Card Shop. With that being said, let's not delay this process any longer. Well, let's get the show underway. Time for this week's
incoming
product releases. All right, let's cover the products coming out this week in the hobby. We'll start with today, for listening to this show, on July 10th, 2020, Panini Chronicles Collegiate Draft Picks Football. We have 5 products releasing on the 15th. They are as follows: 2019-20 Panini Obsidian Basketball, 2019-20 Topps Chrome Bundesliga Soccer, 2020 Panini Luminance Football, 2019-20 Upper Deck Stature Hockey, 2019-20 Topps Bundesliga Museum Collection Soccer. We have 2 products a week from the show release here on the 17th, and those products are both Leaf products. 2019 Trinity Baseball and 2020 Greatest Hits Multi-Sport Edition. So there you go, almost double-digit products in the next 7 days. So you have some buying and opening options if you so choose.
Sports Card Nation Podcast is your weekly hobby and sports podcast. Now on tons of platforms including Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Stitcher, and many more. Listened to in 44 different countries globally, Sports Card Nation is one of the most interactive podcasts around, providing great content, giveaways, and some of the hobby's best interview guests without time constraints. Thousands can't be wrong. We want to thank all the wonderful listeners around the world, our awesome guests on the show, and our tremendous sponsors making us what we are today. Remember, without you, there's no us.
It's time for What's Cracking. All right, let's start with the huge news in the hobby. Certified Collectibles Group, CCG. They're a grader, but more known for their comic book grading, paper money, magazines, concert posters, coins, and that sort of thing. They're throwing their hat in the sports card grading ring and trying to be that 4th player, if you will. They made the announcement that they're going to start off with the non-sports first, with the Pokerman and Magic the Gathering. I know I said Pokerman wrong. Pokemon, whatever. You can see what I know about that. But Pokemon and Magic the Gathering first, as they hire staff that are familiar with the sports card market. And we'll see how this goes. They are successful in their other ventures. That's the one positive for them. And the new line is going to be CSG, Certified Sports Guarantee. Sounds like someone else we know. But we'll see how this is going to go. It's not as easy as you think. You know, a lot of people they've released examples of their slabs, or what their slabs will look like it, and not a lot of rave reviews there. And you know, grading is not easy. I mean, look at some of the shots SGC takes, like they're new, and they're not new. They're around 20 years, and you know, CSG's been around, but not really in the card market, and now they're jumping in that pool. I don't know how that's going to go. I mean, that's what makes the hobby fun, is we got to see how this thing plays out. One thing they've announced that they're going to do is they're going to have more than one grader look at each card, and so when you think about that, that will slow the process down. Not that they're going to be overwhelmed out of the gate anyway, because they're just starting out as far as this line goes. And so they're hiring. If you want to be a grader, here's your shot, I guess. They're in Sarasota, Florida, so near Boca Raton there, you know, another Florida grading company. They have employees worldwide, 350 of them, in Britain, Germany, and China. And so they're not starting from the ground level. That's one advantage they have. But is the card game open enough to let another player in? That's going to be the big question. And I see them. They're talking about advanced authentication processing and grading equipment, ultra microscopic, with precision equipment, and so they're selling themselves well, but got to be careful about over promising because you can under deliver. So we're going to see very early stages yet. They're in the process of hiring staff, so we're some ways away before we see even how this goes. I'm talking about it a lot, quite frankly, because it is the big buzz in the hobby this week. So it led off this segment of the hobby news. So we all know about PSA recently increasing their submission prices on modern day cards. $1 per over 100 submitted, and $3 under 100 on modern day. And a lot of people were up in arms, and I myself wasn't excited about that, and pointed out that here we go, they can't fix the problems, and they raised the prices. And they admitted recently that the price increase was to slow down some of the products coming in, and they've apparently hired more people, including temporary staff. And now they are walking back what they initially said. They are now claiming that price increase is only temporary and not permanent, just while they're behind. So we'll see. I don't know if I'm buying that, truth be told. I'm in New York State, and people in New York State like me might know what I'm about to say. Some may not. We have a thruway in New York State, I-90. And when it was built many, many moons ago, it was supposed to, be paid for a little bit and then turn into a free highway. And here we are. It's 2020. It's never going to be free. So they announced that they were only collecting money on it from tolls to pay for it, and that it would eventually be free once it's paid for. And here in 2020. It's not free, and it never will be. And so, they can say anything they want, that they'll roll back to original prices, but I believe it when I see it. I'm a, show me, don't tell me kind of guy. So we'll see. They're overwhelmed. They're a little slow going, getting back on the horse with the pandemic. That's not their fault. It's no one's fault. In particular when it comes to here in the States. And so we'll see. Now you got that fourth entrance that's trying to be the fourth entrance in CCG. So a lot of moving parts in the grading world. It's so hard to gauge anything right now in the hobby in general, just with the pandemic in full force right now. So Ben Baller, a.k.a. Ben Yang, announced on his Twitter feed that he is going to do a Topps Chrome edition. Now, I don't know if it's going to be a standalone product. I don't know if it's going to be a set inside the set. They just announced that he will be doing a commission via Topps Chrome, via Topps. I posted it. I retweeted it with sort of meh face on it, and Ben Baller responded with a smile and blew me a kiss. I told him if he's welcome to come on the show, if he wants to discuss the project or anything or my feelings with it. I don't know. I have mixed feelings. I really don't have anything. I mean, if it's a great product and it's marketed well and not overproduced, I'll probably like it. If it's meh and overproduced and overpriced, then I probably won't. So the jury's sort of out. I don't love it. I don't hate it. I'm somewhere in between, just waiting to see what it's going to entail, what it's going to be. And so I'm going to reserve judgment. Again, if Mr. Baller wants to come on, Sports Card Nation. I've already invited him. He's welcome to come on. I know we probably can't give all the details of it, probably in the sort of early stages. And if he wants to talk, I'd love to, like all the other Topps Project 2020 artists I have on, I love to talk about his work in that and his work in general. And so I don't know if he's listening or whatnot, but welcome to come on anytime you feel the urge to do so. So the door is always open. Topps has released a online only set from summer camp, the extended prospect pool camp. It's going to be a 30 card issue. It will be players that were on their 60 player pool for the major league teams. And these photos, I'm being told, are going to be very recent here and from extended camps. And they're going to be heavy prospects. 30 card set. It's going to be $100 price tag on that. You will get one on-card autograph numbered to $99 or less, and 3 base card parallels also numbered none higher than 99. So 30 cards, a 100-card set. I myself probably not going to get it, but if you're jonesing for rookies and prospects, these may be sort of the equivalent of Topps Update, if you will, where they can get these rookies and cards issued as prospects under the Bowman Next tagging. So 30 cards, $100, one auto under 99 or less, and 3 base parallels, none higher than 99. The Star Stock selling platform is fully live and fully functional. It's fast becoming one of the premier sports card marketplaces. They aim to be the fastest, most efficient place to buy and sell your cards. They offer no ingestion fees. They do all the legwork, scan your cards to the site, and cards are held safely in the secure vault. Their 5% sales commission is one of the lowest in the industry. Currently, they are looking for rookie and prospect cards, and now they also are accepting graded cards as well. If you're interested in selling on the site, please email Mike at the following email address: mike@starstock.com.
I know the chunky that left these chunkies. Newman! Open the door, Newman. I know you're in there.
Hello, Jerry. All right, it's time for Newman's Rambling, where I select one question I get each week and answer it on the air.
John, you seem like an astute man.
Thank you, Mr. Walken.
Maybe you can help explain something to me.
Well, I'll give it my best shot. So this question comes by way of Twitter from Matthew Clark, good guy. Got to know him a little bit. And he asked me, how do I do my rookies? What do I store them in? What do I put them in? And it's a good question. And I did post something how I do my rookies a few months back. I probably should retweet it. So here's how I do my rookies. And this goes for any of the 4 sports. Okay, whenever I open something or purchase lots, any rookie cards, regardless of whether they're common rookies or prospect rookies, they all get sleeves. So any card that's a rookie or a prospect goes in a penny sleeve. Okay, then if the card is over $3 or $4 already, like in the case of a Lux, a Kino, Jordan Alvarez, kind of from this year, using this year as an example, I put those in semi-rigids, which are my top loaders. I've switched over to semi-rigid, so I don't really use top loaders other than for thicker card stock. So anything $3 or higher is going to go in a semi-rigid. Other than that, they're going to stay in a soft sleeve. And then what I do is I have monster boxes, and they're in alphabetical order. Not exact alphabetical order, but I have, divider cards. They'll say A, B, C, D. You catch my drift, all the way to Z. And by sport, I put all the A's. So if I want to find, let's say Jordan Alvarez wasn't highly regarded initially, and he starts tearing up the major leagues, and I know those cards are just in soft sleeves. I didn't already put them in semi-rigids. I'm going to go to the baseball A's in my monster box, and see what Alvarez's I have as rookies and prospect cards in there. And so whenever a player, I've done that the last probably 5 years, and whenever a player breaks big, rather than have to go through 10, 15, 20 boxes like some might to find all the cards of that particular player, I literally have to go to one box. And I've really streamlined my organization with my cards. And so, for example, if Ronnie Mauricio of the Mets, who's a mid-tier prospect, but he's not in semi-rigids, he's going to be in the M section of my rookie baseball box. If he comes up to the Mets and starts raking, and his cards start moving up the charts, as they say, and go up, I can go right to that M portion of that baseball rookie box and find out all the Mauricios I have. And now, they're not all going to be together, but they're going to be at least in that section. So I pull out all the M baseball card, rookies and prospects, and just start picking out all the Mauricios, or whoever else. If Lucas Urseg from the Brewers starts to rake, I can go to the E's and pull out all the Ursegs. Rather than look through 5,000 cards, though, I've got it where I can hone in by letter and have all those cards. In literally 5-10 minutes, I can have complete inventory of that particular player that might get hot. And I did that because it's nice to be able to find cards of a player that lights it up rather quickly and have access to them. And let's be real, one of the reasons I did it is some of these guys, they get hot, their cards go up, and I'm a prospector. I kind of listen to minor league podcasts, kind of follow these guys as they make their ascension up through the ranks. There's some guys, we all know it sometimes, that we know they get hot for 1, 2, maybe even 3 weeks, and they're not long-term going to be that good. It allows me, truth be told, to pull that player out. And at one point, those weren't sellable cards. This player, catches lightning in a bottle for a week or two. I'm not really a true believer, and I can sell those cards at high peak and able to find every single one and move them. And I've sold a lot of players in that fashion, especially that I didn't feel like that performance was going to be long-term. And in a lot of times, it's not. And it allows me to move that inventory at high peak. I hate to say it like this, but then reality sets in. They come back to earth, and I've already sold those cards. And I, in turn, put that money into more prospect and rookie cards, and the cycle continues. One of One Card Shop offers a tremendous breaking experience, great customer service, and they're constantly pulling fire. Steve and his family take care of you like one of their own and treat you right. Anyone can break, but no one treats you like One of One. Come check them out on Instagram at one_of_one_card_shop. For all the hot breaks, get a gold mailer headed your way.
Commence interview sequence.
Really happy to have my next guest on the One of One Card Shop guest line. He hails from Adelaide, Australia, so he's here on a time difference. I appreciate him doing that. He's very acclaimed. We may know him more now because he's working on the Topps 2020 project, but he's got a list of credentials even way before that. I don't want to make him wait any longer. Welcome, Tyson, back to the show.
Thank you, John. Appreciate the opportunity. Looking forward to speaking with you.
So you've worked for the NBA, Major League Baseball, NHL, NFL, Major League Soccer, UFC, Adidas, Nike, UA, Panini, Topps. You've worked on the game for the game NBA 2K, Topps Fire as far as cards go, and I know I left something off, but we only have so much time too. But when it comes to sports and even the hobby, you out of all the artists, the 20 artists and the 19 other artists in this project, you came in with probably the most experience. Do you think that gives you a little bit of an advantage, maybe the familiarity with the process?
Maybe, but in a way I feel a little bit out of place because, like, when you look at the 20 artists, I'd probably say 18 of them don't have a background in sport, or maybe about 17 of them. So, like, for me, I feel like I was a little bit of a ring-in, you know. I don't know, maybe because I heard some artists were, like, busy or didn't want to be involved or whatever the reason. Mm-hmm. So maybe I was a late ring-in. I honestly don't know. I've heard Blake say it as well, like he was a little bit kind of like when he looks at the list, he's like a little bit fortunate that he's on it because like he has a sports background as well, like me, whereas the majority of the other artists, Don C has a sports background, but yeah, so it kind of cool that I do have that experience and I was still being able to participate in this set. But yeah, as you kind of mentioned, maybe I do have a little bit of advantage because I've done, thousands of trading cards before. But yeah, I don't think it really kind of does too much in the end.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's cool to go into the project fresh.
So, again, like I said, you've worked in the industry. I know you got your start at least in the sports, and when the Lakers hired you to design some of that stuff, and you got to work a little bit with Kobe and get to know him a little bit. I know he's someone that means a lot to you, God rest his soul, and everyone in that tragic accident. I wanted to give you a moment and kind of to speak to that and what he meant to you and getting to know him a little bit and all that.
Yeah. So it's funny, like when you do podcasts and interviews and all that, people always bring up like who's your biggest inspiration, who helped you the most in your career and everything. And usually the answer's like other creative people, but definitely like Kobe was just my only, like my sole inspiration. He was never even my biggest inspiration. He's literally my sole inspiration. So yeah, I mean, like obviously with everything that happened, it was really hard to process. I was actually in America at the time, and I was meant to be seeing him a week after the helicopter crash.
Wow.
In Los Angeles. He was going to be donating about I can't remember the exact figure, but he was donating signed jerseys to help with the Australian bushfires, for us to raise money for it. So that was it kind of didn't feel real. I was actually at an NBA game when I found out. I was at the Houston versus Denver game, which was the first NBA game that was actually played after his passing. So even that was, it was just a crazy situation. But yeah, I mean, like I was obviously really, really fortunate to be able to meet him a couple of times. He followed me on Twitter for, 5-6 years maybe, and he would DM me and I would DM him. So that was cool to get that interaction from him. We'd tweet each other a few times, and I actually met him in Australia last year. It was crazy. I went up to him and he remembered who I was. I didn't even mention my name. I just well, I hadn't seen him in person for 10 years, and I just said, oh, hey, I do a lot of your memorabilia artwork. And he was just like, oh, yeah. He's like, yeah, I know you. You're Tyson Beck. And I was just like, I freaked out. You know, like, if you actually remember my name, 10 years, it was literally 10 years to that week that the last time I saw him in person. So, yeah, that was pretty incredible. And it was pretty cool. He took me aside and asked me a bunch of questions because, like, he was, you know, into storytelling. He was into getting into, like, you know, content creation and storytelling, and ran his Kobe studio. So he was like a really like creative person getting into all that. So he was asking me a bunch of questions, like kind of how, just asking me like, why do people work with me? Like, you know, it's like, you know, why do you have clients? Why do people want to use? So it was really interesting because the first time I met him, obviously I asked him a bunch of questions, like, because I just like, you know, a massive fan. But then the second time I met him, he actually asked me questions, and I actually didn't even get any time to ask him anything. So I thought that was pretty surreal.
Yeah, and if you know you got to know him a little bit more than most people do. But what everything you read about him, that's the kind of person he was. He always wanted to learn, and you know, even as knowledgeable and popular as he was always asking questions and intuitive. And I think that's why. Yeah, I think that's why he's as great as he was. Is he wanted to know and be as best as he can be in whatever he was doing, even after his basketball career was over and he got into the business side. I mean, the guy won an Academy Award too, and so just amazing. And if you're gonna have someone you look up to, he'd probably be on the top of a lot of people's list. And the fact that you got to know him on that level, I'm sure I'm speaking for you. That's probably just an amazing thing. It's unfortunate, you know, what happened, and we still can't enjoy him as a business person and as an iconic idol. But you know, his legacy, well, no doubt will always live on. You know, and
his legacy's going to live on. Forever. And I mean, as horrible as it is, you know, he inspires so many people, and I think he's just going to inspire so many more people. Even not being here, I think people are going to, you know, the whole Mamba mentality, and you know, everything he, you know, kind of, you know, pushed for. I think, like for me, I'm more motivated, I'm more inspired by him today than ever, which is a strange kind of feeling, but I kind of just feel like I owe a lot to him because I definitely wouldn't be in the position where I am without him.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't even be a designer without him. I wouldn't be an artist. I'd be working, you know, anyway, retail. I could be, you know, I was in retail before, and I definitely, I wouldn't be a creative without him kind of being my inspiration.
Yeah, which is why I brought him up. I didn't want to, you know, open a wound up, but I know what he meant to you, and I thought it would be nice to hear you, you know, speak of him. On a personal note, when that happened, you know, that tragic accident, I was on the couch watching TV. We're on the East Coast, and I had dozed off like old people sometimes do, and my wife, nudged me to wake me up, and we had nothing pressing going on, so I knew by her waking me up like that, something was wrong. Something had, you know, I thought maybe something even in the house or my son or who knows what. And so I woke up and I'm like, what's going on? And my wife said, you know, the news is reporting Kobe Bryant was killed. And I remember just saying to her, nah, you're reading something wrong. You know, maybe he was, you know, hurt, or are you sure? What are you talking about? And, you know, obviously we turned on all the news channels, and unfortunately, you know, she wasn't wrong. And you know, I view him differently than you, but I also knew he was just a tremendous, great player, great family guy, and as a dad, that's what hit me more than as a sports guy, as a dad, and then his daughter Gianna also passing away, and then the kids and his wife that he left behind. That was I cried just on that fact alone, and for everyone else on board.
Yeah,
You know,
big one for me. I was in America at the time. I was probably 2 or 3 weeks into my trip in America, and we're actually meant to be seeing Shaq. The people that I was with, because we're bringing out Shaq to Australia to do an event with him. But obviously that didn't go ahead. We were due to go to Atlanta the next day to meet him, and obviously that all changed. But yeah, the thing was that I was in America for about 2 or 3 weeks, and back home, my wife and daughter are at home. So as soon as that happened, I was just like, I just want to be back home with my daughter. Yeah, it definitely, because of the whole situation, that it wasn't just him. I think it kind of, even if you didn't know him or like him, I think it's still, it was a global thing. It was crazy.
Yeah, I think, like you said, as a family guy, if you're a dad, a mom, and you obviously have kids, that's what really hits you. And I don't care whether you liked them, how well you knew them. You're not a basketball fan. Just the impact of that alone really struck me, and obviously I got emotional. Truthfully, I got more emotional than I thought I might, and just when all those factors play in. But like we said, his what he's done will always be in the books, and a lot of people have attested to. They point to him as an inspiration in why they're able to do what they do. So that his legacy, that Black Mamba mentality, that will never go away and continue. And that puts a smile on some people's faces, including mine, and I'm sure you feel the same way.
Yeah, well said. Yeah,
yep.
I agree.
So you come from more the basketball side. You did a project a little bit ago where you took like older retired players and you put like current hairstyles on them, and I thought that was like just so different and cool. How'd you come up with that? I guess you know what I mean. First off.
I can't even remember. I may have said it before or something like that. Actually, I can't remember how I came up with that idea. But basically, do a lot of social media work, content work for sports leagues and teams. So I kind of just try and think of new things, just to get engagement and all that kind of stuff. But a large reason why I get the work that I do is I kind of in some regards create trends. And the people that collect baseball cards literally would have no idea. But a lot of the stuff I create, it gets replicated by other leagues, other teams, which is fine to some degree. And then I go to the new thing. So it's kind of a lot of these people hire companies or leagues hire me because they want something kind of fresh and new. And I guess that was just a personal project I did. It was just a bit of fun, put it out there, and it got 20 million. I think it got 29 million views in the first day, which was nuts. Seriously. At that time, I was just man, I was probably lucky to get 29 million views on my work in the last 10 years, probably. So, to get that in a day, that was crazy. And I took a trip I just did a bit of fun, and then when I took a trip to America, everyone that I met, NBA 2K sent me out to America, and I met a bunch of people, and literally everyone introduced. I used to be known as Tyson Beck, and everyone was introduced. Oh, it's the hair guy. I'm never doing this again. I didn't go around the NBA office, and people were like, "Oh, it's the hair guy." And I was just like, "What is this?" I don't want to be known. Because I don't know if you watch The Office, but it was it's the Ryan. Yeah. Ryan when he ends up being the fire guy. And
yeah. You got that label on you, and it was cool as it was. Obviously, you do a lot of different things. You don't want to just be, the hair guy, as you say,
Yeah.
But
a bit of fun, and so I didn't really. I don't even know what the reason was that I did it. I just put out a few, and then got really popular. So then I kept doing and then I did the reverse. I did the young players with the old hair, so I kind of flipped it around. But I definitely stopped doing it. But to be completely honest, to this day, I still get inboxes weekly from people they would take selfies, like side profile, whatever, and they'd be like, "Oh, hey, you able to Photoshop like cornrows on my hair because I want to show my mum before I'm allowed to do it." Like, it's insane. Like, some of the requests are just hilarious. Just getting these random people just asking me to change their hair so their mum can approve them to get a haircut, and it's just really odd stuff. But yeah, it was a bit of fun. I actually did another series, but I never ended up posting it because I didn't want to be known as like a meme guy. Like, I guess it's kind of like a meme thing. And I actually did the old players wearing the new fashion. So I had, like, Michael Jordan wearing like the Russell Westbrook clothing sort of thing. So it was the same but with fashion. But I never ended up posting it because I don't know. I didn't want to be kind of go down that path of like just being this corny graphic designer. But it's interesting now that so this was like 3-4 years ago, and now that the whole COVID-19 shutting on sport, literally, like, I've seen at least a dozen sports leagues, teams, whatever, all do this like hairstyle thing right now, which is kind of pretty funny that it's kind of like now coming back because I guess there's nothing to do, so it's kind of a good way to generate engagement. But I definitely won't be making it anymore.
Well, you're a trendsetter. That you're doing something right when so many other people emulate it or take it and do it too. And did you get much feedback from actual players? Like, hey, I didn't like that, or I loved it.
Dude, I did. I got a lot. So I got Steph Curry took a photo of him getting the haircut, with a similar haircut. It was like high top fade. He took a photo with his barber doing it. Giannis posted it, saying, "Should I get these cornrows?" Dirk Nowitzki wrote, I think maybe like crying emoji. Ben Simmons I made Ben Simmons like bald, but it was actually based on like a famous like Australian point guard, and he got that reference. So I think he just wrote something. I can't remember what he wrote, but the best one was Dwayne Wade, because the exact hair I gave him, he ended up changing his hairstyle when he graduated college, like a year or so after he retired. If you look, I put a tweet out of it once, but it was crazy because he's never had that hair in his life. Like, it was like cornrows, and then like in like this, I don't know, what do you even call it, like a ponytail in the back, and he got that exact haircut after his NBA career, which is crazy. And there's no doubt he saw that because he actually interacted with the post when I did post it years ago.
Yeah, you're like a personal assistant giving them, grooming and hair tips. I mean, that's crazy, but that shows, you know what I mean, just the talent you have. It goes on to so many different levels. We're going to step aside for a quick break, but when we come back, more from Tyson Beck. Pastime Marketplace offers a line of durable graded card cases made for collectors who want high-quality graded card storage that is virtually indestructible. Their cases are waterproof, dustproof, airtight, and designed to protect your valuable collection. Check them all out at www.pastimemarketplace.com. Protect your best with the best. Welcome back to Sports Card Nation, and now we return with Tyson Beck. I know, Tyson, you're a workaholic. You nose to the grindstone, which maybe attributes to you being as successful as you are. That's maybe a little bit of that Mamba Mentality, Kobe stuff. That was if you know anything about him, he just always was working on his game, and you're always working on yours. I know. It led to a few health issues, and thank God, thankfully you're okay and you're doing well. How did you eventually balance that out? You're a dad too. How do you balance your time to obviously stay healthy, be a dad, be successful? I mean, I don't know if it's easy to answer, but how did you what did you do different after having a health scare to be better?
So basically, back then I was doing the equivalent of 2 full-time jobs, 2 full-time design jobs, plus a part-time design job. That was the equivalent of it. no joke, for like 5-6 years, I was working as a designer from like, what would you say, like 9 a.m. till 6 p.m. or something. And then working as a designer after dinner from like 7:30 p.m. till 4 a.m. most nights.
Wow.
You know, on average. And doing that 7 days a week. Like, not like it wasn't like literally. So I was getting 4, and it was fine. Like, I've always, like, growing up, like, I used to play play the PlayStation, play Nintendo and all that stuff with my friends. We used to do all-nighters. We used to, you know, and I never really needed sleep. I'd be able to, you know, smash through whatever. It was just like, you know, I'd go out to town and in the city, and, you know, you go out and party and stuff and have a good time or whatever. You get back at 6 a.m. and, like, back in the days when I'd have to work, like, you know, I'm talking about 15 years ago when I had a retail job, I'd have work in, like, an hour. I'd just power nap and I'd go there and do, like, a 10-hour shift and I'd be fine. Like, I was like, I don't need this. But then, like, that's just about your age. Like, you can do that in your teens, you can do that in your early 20s. But when I kept doing this in my late 20s, that's when I noticed the change. Like, it's not sustainable. You can't. That's why I don't like that whole, like, you know, the hustle, the grind mentality. Like, I never wanted to do it. It was just more so, it's like, I just wanted to work as much as possible and get a head start in life, basically. Because I don't want to have, like, you know, yeah, like I saw my parents had a massive mortgage still to this day. So it's like, well, I don't want that. I want to be able to, you know, start off good and then maybe enjoy life later on. But yeah, I guess what would it have been? I reckon it was like 26, 27, maybe 25, 26. Something like that. It was just all drastically, like, it started to dip, and, like, yeah, I was just like, you know, fell asleep at the wheel a few times, crashed a car because, like, I wasn't sleeping at all, and I thought I was fine. But and then I guess, like, when that happened the second time, I was like, man, I got to get more sleep. So I started getting more sleep, and then I started getting seizures because and the seizures, like, no one went had, like, tests done and, like, what do you call it? What's it?
Neurological. Yep, neurological.
And I got a bunch of that stuff done. Went to a clinic, all that, and they couldn't find out what was the issue. And so then I just kind of started penciling in, like, when it would happen, like, you know, what's the underlying factor here? And I was like, oh shit, both times, well, the last 2 times it happened, it was based on a week that I was getting, like, on average 3 hours sleep a day, and I was just like, oh well, that's pretty obvious. Like, so since then, I've definitely made it a priority. Like, I get a minimum of 6 hours sleep at night. Obviously, this Project 2020 is not helping because definitely, like, even, like, for example, like, the drop times are at, like, 2:30 a.m., 3 a.m. my time. And I kind of want to be up at that time because when it drops, I want to share on my Instagram. I just want to share, like it's up, you know, here's the link. So I kind of want to be up, but then that's killing me because, like, then I, like, stay up for an hour or two because, like, I want to interact with a few people that are, like, writing, you know, nice work or whatever. Like, you don't just want to, like, post it and just run away. So I'm finding my drop dates, I'm going to bed at, like, 5:30 a.m.
Yeah.
It's okay because I'll sleep till midday. Now it's like, no, like, no matter what, I'm not going to bed at 5:30 and getting up at 8:30 like I used to. Like, and I don't know, I'm still learning. I'm definitely not perfected at anything. Like, I definitely would need to spend more time with my daughter. I need to spend more time with my wife. I put work in front of everyone, and everyone knows that. You know, I barely have any friends now, which is fine. Like, I've always put work in front of everyone. And like you mentioned, like, that's probably why I've done a lot of the stuff that I've done, and I wouldn't take any of it back. Like, even if I, you know, even if I died this year or today or whatever, like, I've achieved everything that I wanted to have achieved in my life. So, like, anything here on is just a bonus. So I think that's a good thing to have. I don't have any ambitions. I've done everything that I want to do. Now I just kind of want to be in a position where I can spend more time with my daughter. And I think I don't want to do New Year's resolutions or anything, but I hope next year will be the year that I start to, you know, maybe cut back and work, you know, for 5 days a week instead of 7.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're a smart guy. You've made, you know, little adjustments, getting more sleep, You know, you got a head on your shoulders. You know, and like you said, you're going hard early, so maybe a little bit later, you can enjoy the fruits of your labor, so to speak, and whatnot.
Yeah. That's the plan. If it doesn't work out, it doesn't work out, but there'll be no regrets.
Yeah.
I think that's the way to go. You know, just go hard when you're young, and then hopefully enjoy life a little more later on.
Yeah, I'm gonna. I think I know the answer to this next question. Do you miss retail at all?
No.
All right, that's what I thought you'd say.
Yeah, I used to. I did night film, so I used to start it like that. Actually, I think that was why that actually. I started that when I was like 15, 16, so I used to go to high school. I actually did that while I was studying graphic design as well. So I'd start at like 7:30 at night, and then I'd work. I'd do night films, you know, cut open boxes, stack the shelves, and I'd do that till like anywhere between midnight and 2 a.m. every night. Then I had to get up and go to school the next day. But what I used to do is I would work retail at night, get home at about 2:30 a.m. and like I'd always be wide awake because like I've just finished work, so I'd just jump on a computer and start playing around, having fun, just making stuff for fun, like just wallpaper. I literally lived on forums when I was younger. Like I'd just make free wallpapers for people, free signatures, free avatars for basketball fans, and that's kind of how I started. So I think that kind of instilled this like, yeah, it's like my best work is done late at night sort of thing. But yeah, no, I definitely wouldn't want to go back into retail. I didn't enjoy it, but
yeah. Well, I think your shelves, your box opening, well, not box opening, but your stocking the shelves days are probably behind you. You know, with what you're doing now, and so speaking of getting into the 2020 project. Tyson, first off, your work speaks for itself. It's just tremendous. Kudos. You've done, unless I missed one, I know you've done 7 cards. Gooden, Jackie Robinson. I'm originally from Brooklyn, so Jackie Robinson is a huge, you know, what Kobe is to you probably would be Jackie Robinson to me, even though he passed away a month before I was born. Just what he meant as a person from Brooklyn, and then in the social aspect. He was a guy. Any book report or essay I did as a student was always about him. So yeah, so Jackie's a huge guy. I know you done him, Griffey, Ripken, George Brett, Sandy Koufax, another Brooklyn Dodger, and Ted Williams. And so I know you're a huge basketball guy, fan, but you have done, you know, with the Tops Fire line, you have done some baseball stuff before, so it's not uncommon ground. Are you much of a baseball fan? Are you kind of learning as with this project a little bit too?
I mean, there's no games on, so it's kind of hard to, you know. Yeah. I think if the sport was on, I'd be more into it. Like, yeah. But I actually played baseball. Was the first sport I played. Yeah. I played it in year 2, year 3, I think. So I was like, I don't know, 8 or 9. And then I only started playing basketball when I was 14. So I got a better understanding on the players that I'm researching and doing things of. But I feel like if this was like 20 current players, say it's like the 20 biggest stars of today, I think I'd be really into watching like baseball if it was on now. But I think because it's like former players outside of Trout, obviously, yeah. But I tend to watch baseball's not big in Australia. It's not like a sport that we play. Like it, you know, it is what America's favourite pastime or whatever they say. I think I really like the World Series. I do watch that. I put that on TV just because I don't really like follow a team, but if I were to pick a team, it would be the Dodgers, just because I kind of go for LA's teams. Yeah. But the World Series is usually really good, so it's not like I don't watch baseball at all. I tend to only watch the World Series every year, which might be a strange thing, but I find the World Series interesting.
Yeah, and I'm sure there's... I don't think that's odd. I actually have a couple friends that the same thing. They're not huge baseball guys, but when the World Series is on, I mean, it's the World Series, so they watch it. Was there a player in the project that when you knew you were going to be doing it, was there a particular player that stood out to you as maybe not being a huge baseball fan that you were looking for? Man, I can't wait to do this piece, or not necessarily?
I don't know, it's kind of funny. The first thing I thought of, like, I grew up as like a massive Simpsons fan, so I noticed that there was like a few players that was in the Simpsons episode. When Monty Burns has that power plant, the nuclear power plant,
yeah.
team. I think Ken Griffey Jr. was in the team, Mattingly was in the team, Darryl Strawberry, which I was using in this set.
Yeah.
I can't remember if there was anyone else. So it was just like, Mattingly and Griffey jumped out because I was like, they were on a Simpsons episode, and like Griffey had like that giant head in one scene or whatever. That was kind of funny. So those two jumped out, and then like I know Trout's big, and there's also been like a lot of talk on social media, maybe from people like what is it, Gen Z or whatever the young generation is.
Yeah, Generation X.
Yeah, so
yeah.
I saw some talk recently about like, they should change the MLB logo to Mike Trout. So like, I was like, I kind of was obviously, was reading that, seeing that. I was like, he's a star. Like, I know Trout. Just he actually, I think he did a few crossover things with Kobe. Like he did body armor. I think Trout was a body armor, but like that alternative to Gatorade. So I've definitely known of Trout, and so it was definitely Trout, Jeter, and then the Simpsons characters.
Yeah. Well, and Mike Trout, you mentioned obviously Mike Trout. He's the only active player in the set, and the reason being he's widely regarded as the best player in the game right now. So he almost can't do anything baseball related without having him in there, and deservedly so. He is a tremendous player. Many would argue, like, if he retired today, he'd have enough numbers to make the Hall of Fame, and he's not old. So that tells you how great he is. One last quick commercial break, and we'll be back with more Tyson Beck. Let me tell you about Iron Sports Cards and Collectibles. They're your number one source for all your PSA and now SGC submissions. They offer various service levels at the lowest prices around. They even provide the card savers your cards need to be submitted at no extra charge. Their elite status helps improve turnaround times, and their chat rooms keep you abreast of your subs and the status of your cards. What are you waiting for? Contact Rob on Facebook on Iron Sports Card Group. That's Iron Sports Card Group on Facebook. Or get a hold of Rob on Twitter at Iron Sports Cards. All one word, at Iron Sports Cards. They'll take care of you. You're back with more Sports Card Nation and Tyson Beck. So I got to, like I said, all the cards you've done are great. How do you, like, when you're doing, like, you do some research and then it just naturally comes to you what you kind of want to do with each player?
I'm enjoying the hell out of it because, like, most of my work, like, I deal with clients that want to change every thing that I do. But the people don't realize, like, that's why I'm on Instagram. Like, I barely post anything. Like, I'm working all the time. But it's like, I'm not even proud of, like, 99% of the stuff I put out because, like, a lot of these, like, I guess, it is an artist series, but, like, first and foremost, I'm a designer. I'm an artist and a designer, but, like, artists kind of get more freedom and, do what they want. But, like, when I'm working, like, if I'm doing, like, branding projects with the NBA and, like, all that stuff, I don't even know how many people see it, but, like, I've done, like, did the digital branding for, like, NBA All-Star weekends, NBA Finals, NBA Draft, NBA season, all that, and it's just like, I'll be the only designer that creates that style guide, and I don't know how many marketers and, like, social media people and, like, executives look at that style guide, but, like, all those changes are just being filtered to me to update, change, and then what then comes out to the public that they see, I was like, it's changed so much, or maybe it's like, I'm not, like, it's not mine, like, because it's changed so much. So, like, because of this, I'm really enjoying this set because literally Tops has like handed us the keys to a car and just said like, go crazy, like do whatever you want. So I'm really enjoying that, and because of that, I'm just having fun. Like I'm kind of just thrown like at how I work and a lot of my personal work that I do. That's like passion projects and stuff like that, and all the good clients that kind of let me do what I want to do is. I don't really have like a plan or a strategic thing. I just kind of start messing around and just putting stuff together. And some like it's kind of beautiful how things work out sometimes. Or it's like you might be halfway through something, but then there might be a little thing, the idea that comes out from something, and then it totally changes. It goes another direction. So like it's never a smooth path with my artwork. It's like literally like it's like a maze, and I kind of get to the outcome at the end, but. I'm definitely researching the players. I don't know. I just kind of want like the whole style. Like I'm not known for a specific style. Like I said before, I kind of try and create like in the past create trends and all that. So for me, my style is forever evolving and changing. So what you're seeing now is not like that's what Tyson Beck does. It's like well, that's what I'm doing now. But probably in 2 years' time, I'll be doing something completely. I will be doing another look. So. This at the moment is just like a scrapbooking style, and it's actually how I started doing design. And the reason I chose it is because I used to cut out stuff from magazines, sketch stuff, glue stuff, and literally make scrapbookings when, like, you know, like the internet was so slow. You could, like, 3.5 floppy inch days where you could fit 10 photos on a 3.5 inch floppy, and I couldn't save enough photos, so I'd, like, you know, buy magazines, cut them out, and just kind of, like, I don't know, just create posters and stuff by cutting stuff out. So that's kind of, I thought, oh, that's funny, because I used to do that. And then now these are old baseball cards, so it's like, well, I'm going to get nostalgic. How did I start, you know, being a creative? You know, these baseball cards are a throwback, so I'm going to throw back to what I was doing like when I was young. So that's kind of how it all comes together. So,
yeah,
you know, in regards, I just kind of hope that all my 20 fit nice as a family at the end. But yeah, it's kind of like they won't all look the same, but they'll be able to sit as a family.
Yeah. And it's like it's come full circle. You kind of did that when you're younger. And now you're doing it on a grander level. And like you said too, you do your best work when you kind of just let me do my thing and not having someone, hey, let's change this or do this, or you're not so much. I hate to use it like handcuffed. You're just Tops is giving you kind of like you said the keys to the car. Said drive this thing where you want to go, and there you go. And
Tops, like, for full disclosure, Tops have been amazing. Like, I've been doing cards since 2014. Tops have been amazing every year that I've done cards, but it's usually the leagues that kind of, like, push back. And, you know, like, understand the Tops Fire, we wanted, like, the reason they hired me is because they wanted, like, full-on, like, crazy things. So we wanted, like, NFL players' jerseys being torn, like, fire coming off of that smoke, like, and then we presented it to the NFL, and they were just like, yeah, you can put that in the background, but, like, you can't touch a player. And it was like, oh, so it just doesn't look good because the composition is just like a player. It was a dull version of what we were hoping for, but then that kind of evolved to, like, it wasn't actually fire, wasn't an actual fire. It was just kind of like a cool-looking card or whatever for kids, which was cool. But yeah, this project's really awesome because it's kind of, I don't know, from my understanding, I don't even know if the MLB's approving stuff. I think they just kind of like saw our first card and that's kind of it. That's what I thought.
Well, you like I said, all your stuff's amazing. I got to ask you, I saw the Sandy Koufax, and I'm not, being a Brooklyn kid, and so I always look at the Brooklyn guys. On that card, you use like a barbed wire effect. I know when I was going to talk to you today, I wanted to ask you sort of like where that came from, or if there's any meaning, behind that.
Yeah, I heard, I saw some stuff on my social media. There was something about, Jewish concentration camps and all that. But, yeah, I mean, I literally had no idea. I didn't even know anything. I didn't even know about the Holocaust. I didn't even know about Jewish people. In Australia, we're not taught those things, and that's the thing that, Americans don't really understand a lot. Is, the same thing was, I could ask any American in the world, they'd know nothing about Aboriginals. And, Aboriginals are, the Indigenous people in Australia and Americans would know nothing about them. They're not taught anything about them. Same thing as us. We're literally taught nothing about Jewish people. I didn't even know a person at all. Like someone was telling me, like, Mel Gibson's Jewish, and I was like, oh, okay, cool. Like, literally, I didn't even know. So I didn't see that tie. From my understanding, what I was trying to do is, I actually did a Brooklyn piece for Nike a couple months ago, and that had the barbed wire. I had Kyrie Irving jersey. I did like a jersey launch for this season, and I actually had barbed wire on it. So maybe that's kind of where it first kind of sprang from, because I actually did a Brooklyn piece this year with barbed wire, but it was actually referencing to in the artwork was what I tried to do. I actually put a few polls on social media, and I was like, oh, should I go portrait or horizontal? Because there was a lot at that time, like there was not many artists that changed the orientation at that time. Now it's more common.
Yeah.
So I kind of put a poll up, and I was hoping for a huge response, like, oh no, like keep it horizontal, keep it horizontal. I was always going to have all my 20 cards vertical, because I'd rather look after the collectors of my set rather than the player set. So I was hoping for a really, really like strong response. I'm like, no, horizontal. And then when I released the work, it was kind of like breaking the rules. It was just like, breaking through the barbed wire. The barbed wire, the small Kofax is coming out of his hat. He's bending the barbed wire. He's standing on it. So it's kind of like him like bending the rules, and then the bottom image is bending the rules, and the top image is breaking the rules because it's like snapping through. So it was actually referencing going from horizontal to portrait. Yeah, and I mean, like, I saw there was definitely like some negativity or like, people, but at the end of the day, it didn't really bother me. Outside of that, I literally hadn't heard one negative feedback.
No, and Tyson, I'm not taking it negatively. I just kind of just wanted to know kind of where it came from, and hearing you explain that makes a lot of sense. And I guess I mean the card's great, but I think I appreciate it even more now hearing the whole concept and where that came from and why it's made the card.
I mean, it's not good that there was like a couple people, 2 people emailed me saying like they were a little bit, they were Jewish people and they found it offensive. But yeah, for me it was just like a learning curve. It was just how I literally, like I told them, I did not know about anything. I don't know anything about Jewish history. You have to appreciate I'm Australian. We're not taught that in history class.
Yeah.
We're taught about, we get taught about England, Australia, and our Indigenous people, and that's pretty much it. We don't really get taught about American history and stuff like that.
Well, if it makes you feel a little bit better, I'm half Jewish, and I wasn't offended by the card. With the concentration camps, it's an unfortunate part of history, but it's a part of history. And the one thing I think we all need to do is remember the past, even the bad stuff, because if you remember the bad stuff, you're less likely to have a repeat of that sort of stuff. So I didn't, and then hearing you explain kind of where it was born from. I didn't take offense before, and I definitely don't after hearing kind of what it was about and where it was born from.
Yeah, that's like I'm pretty like easygoing, down to earth guy. So like, if anyone knows my artwork and stuff before this project, then like I don't get into political stuff. Like I'm not a political person. I'm not religious, but like I literally I'm not into any religion, politics, none of that. I just like sport. I just like sport and creating art. Like, I don't really get into any of that stuff. So, if anyone's kind of like followed me, they probably would have. I guess they would have been like, oh, what's that? Is it just something that he put in that looks cool? But I'm definitely not referring to any like history or like anything that's gone on with the Jewish, the past of Jewish people.
Yeah. So this will actually air on the podcast on July 10th. What can you give any teases or what player, what card is next and when that's going to be out? Little sales plug, if by all means.
Yeah. So the next card is Frank Thomas. which will go I've got it actually here. I've already done my Frank Thomas.
Yeah.
It'll go up
The
15th of July.
Okay.
But it might change. Like,
yeah.
These dates
are fluid.
set in stone.
Yeah.
Yeah, so they could bounce. But so, yeah, next one's Frank Thomas. So it'll be around about the 15th of July. And then my card after that is Mariano Rivera, which is around about the 29th of July. So I've got 2 more cards in July, one mid, one end of July. And so looking forward to, releasing both of those. And, and then hopefully, I don't know outside of that. They're the only 2 cards I know right now.
Yeah. Well, I think I speak for many of the folks in the hobby. We're looking forward not only to those 2 cards, but what's to come from Tyson Beck down the line. And even, the nice thing with this project is I think a lot of people have gotten to know you, and then even when this project is done, they're going to be checking you out, what you're doing, even post Topps 2020 project, and that's a good thing.
The response has been crazy. The community is really, really, really great. Like anything, like there's always, there might be like 1 or 2 bad eggs in there, but like
always.
So good, really, so good. And I'm definitely been trying to, interact with people as best as possible, have some fun, and be serious sometimes, but have fun. Most part, but I released my own personal card the other week, and I didn't even think anyone was going to get it because it didn't even have an athlete on it. So I just put it up, and I was like, I'll probably struggle to sell 50 of them. And I was just all 500 sold out within the first hour. I was like, what the hell? This is crazy. But yeah, I know. Also, I don't know if you've been following. I'm doing a 5-part series of my trading cards.
Yeah. I saw one when that was you as a kid. With the bat in your hands, right? Are you talking about that?
Oh, no, so that's a Topps collector card.
Yep.
So that comes free with selected autograph purchases of my cards. That was one that was done with Topps, but I've done my own series which is outside of Topps, which won't be baseball. But, so I've just done my first card, and if anyone collects all 5 of the cards, they get a free basketball pack of trading cards by me. That will never be for sale, so it'll usually be a rare thing at the end. But the second card that will be dropping probably the end of the month is pretty good. I've just agreed to... Basically, I've reached a licensing deal with a partnership deal with an athlete. So I can't mention the athlete, but it'll be pretty big, the second card. So I'm always trying to look to bring something new into it. So I just kind of went out, and I was just like, man, you see Panini, Upper Deck, Topps making these cards with teams and athletes. It's like, why don't I do it myself? So I just went directly to the athlete. So it should be pretty cool. Yeah,
that's awesome. Well, let me give you, I always give the guest kind of the final word, Tyson. Give out where people can get this stuff, number one, where they can see your work, any kind of websites, social medias. Take your time. The floor is yours. Give out any of that stuff where people can purchase this stuff, see this stuff, and follow you and the whole 9 yards.
Yeah, thanks for that, John. So I guess if anyone's not aware of Topps Project 2020, Topps.com. They drop every day, and my card, I'll get 1 card there every second week until December. So I've still got 12 more cards left. If you want to kind of get any of my past cards, eBay might be your best bet, or a Facebook group. If you search Topps Project 2020 on Facebook, that's a great place to buy and interact with the community. And to get any updates, I'm most active on Twitter, which is at Tyson Beck Design, and then on Instagram, which is just at Tyson Beck. So those social media platforms are the only ones I use. So jump on there and give me a follow, and enjoy the rest of the ride that Topps Project 2020 is going to be. It's going to be, it's not dead yet.
Well, like you said, it goes right through December, and like you said too, everyone listening, you got that side project that you're doing. I'm sure it's going to be awesome. And I know you couldn't mention the player, but by your enthusiasm, I got a feeling it's someone that people will really like. And I'm going to definitely check that out. I appreciate you making some time. I know with the big time difference, it's sometimes a little tricky, but you did that for us and everyone listening. And I want to thank you and stay safe, stay healthy, and again, thank you.
Yeah, enjoy your 4th of July weekend. I think that's what you call it.
Yeah.
I hope you have a great time with your friends and family, and try and enjoy the most of it. The world's pretty crazy right now, but try and take the weekend off and enjoy it for what it is.
Definitely, you too. I know. I don't know. I'm assuming you don't celebrate it because it's a little different, but enjoy the weekend just the same.
Enjoy the weekend. Yeah.
All right, that does it for episode 84 of the Sports Card Nation podcast. Want to thank my guest all the way from Australia, Tyson Beck. Awesome cat, man. Good dude. Very forthcoming. We wound up, you only heard about 45 minutes of the interview. We wound up talking about 3 hours that morning here, early morning for him, like 2 a.m. by the time we wrapped up our great conversation. And want to thank him for staying up late, giving the show some time. And, you do this long enough, and I think I'm at that point now, 18, 19 months in. You kind of can tell who are good folks and maybe who aren't so much. And he's good people, and glad to have him on. I hope to have him back on later in the year as the project comes down the final stretch as well. And so kind of catch up with Tyson as well. You heard him talk about Kobe and the Mamba Mentality and kind of what it means to him. It was interesting, finding out that he actually kind of his work ethic, while it's great, kind of led to some health issues, and how he pivoted and made some adjustments there. And still, you're not going to outwork Tyson Beck, and is doing some great work on right now on the 2020 project. So thanks again to Tyson for coming on. Next week, tentatively scheduled, another Tops 2020 project artist, Matt Taylor, and he's from across the pond as well, as he's in the UK. So, we're continuing to interview a lot of the people working on the project, and as you probably noticed, it's a worldwide project. You got Ermsey in France, Matt Taylor, in the UK. You got Tyson Beck in Australia, and I might have left someone out. And if I did, I didn't do that intentionally. But this is a worldwide project. Cards are a worldwide phenomenon, not even a phenomenon, but a worldwide hobby, and it only makes sense that it's a worldwide project. I'll try to keep the closing short. I think cabin fever is starting to set in a little bit on some folks with the pandemic and with things still being closed and people not being able to kind of live their life the way they're used to. I think there's some angriness. I know in the hobby, people seem to be short-fused lately. I don't know why. I'm factoring maybe what I just said as a reason. But, I'll close with something I always try to be. It's all right if you don't agree with everything in the hobby. We can talk about it. We can even have a heated discussion, a debate. But don't make any personal attacks. Leave the name calling for the middle school kids and the little kids. And, try to have a decent conversation if you don't agree about something, and look at the facts. But listen, we're all in this hobby together. Enjoy it in whatever form or fashion you choose to. And again, I don't want to go back to the new money thing, but a lot of people kind of look down their nose to the new people coming in the hobby. If you like to sell your stuff at a higher price, if you like to find an obscure card that may be difficult to find, then you should embrace the new folks coming in the hobby, because they're really some of the most important aspect to get that, accomplish that stuff, whether it's selling, buying, and acquiring stuff. We need everybody in this hobby to keep it thriving. The hobby's at an all-time high during the pandemic. Think about that. Think about what the hobby's doing right now, what wax is doing right now, what single cards are doing, graded cards. I've said on my Twitter how much I've sold in graded cards in the last 6 months. And I mentioned on Hobby Quick Hits, our other shorter show, which I don't like giving out numbers and sales figures, but I did on a recent episode. I'm not going to do that very often. As a matter of fact, I'm not even going to repeat it. Check that show out. Shameless plug right there, but check that show out if you want to hear what that tally was. And so the hobby's at an all-time high. We're having our best year here as far as show and cards and sales. And if you would have told me that during the pandemic, I would have thought you were insane. And so all the years of experience I have means nothing, because there's no rhyme or reason. There's the hobby is just going in all sorts of different directions. And that's the beauty of it. That's the beauty of it. Keeps me on my toes, probably keeping you on your toes, and just learning as we go. And I'm enjoying it, as much as I can. I'm not enjoying the pandemic, but I'm enjoying the hobby aspect of it. So with that being said, be nice to one another. It's a lot easier to do than to nitpick and pick fights and name call and do all that stuff. And be better than that. So with that being said, we'll see you in 7 days, hopefully with our guest, Matt Taylor. So we'll see you. Take care. God bless you. See you next time.
That's it. That's all there is.